Good evening and welcome to Monday, September 26th Board of Education meeting for the East China School District. If you would please stand with me for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Board of Education members?
I have one. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Dave Moreau and St. Clair High for inviting me and Dave Van Bosch. I'd like to also thank Kathy Wojnowski for inviting us up and working with the work-based students and planting flowers to make St. Clair High a better looking place. So thank you, Dave. I appreciate the invite. So.
Anybody else? This is a few. I'm all set tonight. Thank you. Okay, moving right along, we'll go into our academic spotlight, Bell River Elementary with the principal, Robin Smith-Hurd.
Good evening, Superintendent Saibuma, President Frank, and members of the board. I wanted to start by sending a shout out and a thank you to Jay McCullough and Dave Simpson and the entire Marine City cast and crew of Winnie the Pooh. It was our first opportunity in a long time for a field trip, and our kindergarten through third graders went to their performance of Winnie the Pooh, and we just had an excellent time. It was wonderful. Tonight I have several friends and co-workers with me. I have Christina Angel. She is our Title I teacher. I have Christy Muscat. She's our interventionist, and Chris Neal, who is our school social worker. We'd like to share with you tonight how Bell River implements multi-tiered systems of support throughout our days at Bell River.
MTSS is a systematic, continuous support framework in which data-based problem-solving decision-making is used to provide targeted support to struggling students. MTSS typically encompasses both academic and behavioral outcomes, and at Bell River that's no exception. So let's talk about the supports we have in place for academic growth. About 5 years ago, our Title I program shifted from a traditional Title I structure to a grade level pull-out program based in data-driven formation of small groups, focusing on instruction in the areas of students' greatest needs. Those small groups are taught by myself, the Title I teacher, and our MTSS specialist. We work really hard in our room to build relationships with our students and the kids we see. It's neat because some of them we get year after year as they come to us, and we get to see them for more than 1 year, which is a difference from when you're a classroom teacher. We provide a really safe place for them to come, and a place where they are taught right at their level, so they experience success in what they're doing, which then builds their confidence and makes them willing to take risks that they need to continue that success and build on the pride they feel when they have those aha moments and suddenly it makes sense for them. Our Title I funding also allows us to provide push-in parapro classroom support for math and reading. Sometimes they push in, and sometimes they'll take kiddos, a group or one-on-one, out into a quiet area in the building. On the right hand, you see Tabitha doing that with a kindergarten student. We also have Lunchtime Learning Lab, where students receive help with their classroom work, catch up on unfinished assignments, or complete behavior reflection sheets if they're missing recess because they've made a poor choice. And that's what Michelle's doing there. That's one of our lunchtime learning tables. She's helping some fifth graders with some work that they struggled on in class, and they can go there during lunch and get just a little more support to finish that up. WIN stands for What I Need, and at Bell River it's a 30-minute intervention block. We hold it across the grade level. It's an all-hands-on-deck approach that is learner-centered. We provide explicit skill instruction tailored to the needs of each learner. So this is different from just intervention because it applies to every child in the grade level. They all get something they need to grow, whether that be review of stuff that's previously been taught, or practice with things they're currently learning in their classroom, or even some enrichment to help them grow even more. And Christy's going to take it from here.
So another structure that we have in place this year is academic intervention is full-time. So last year I was only at Bell 1 day a week. So as an academic interventionist, I work with children in a small group setting to personalize their learning based on their needs. So this year at Bell River, I'll be targeting phonics instruction during our win time. I'm invested and committed to student growth here at Bell. All right, so the roots of the MTSS success are found in the analysis of the data that is collected. So we use data from NWEA Map Growth. We use Map Reading Fluency and Acadians as our universal screeners to identify students that might be in need of some intervention. Then we can dig a little bit deeper with a diagnostic assessment to figure out what their specific needs are. So after each of these assessment cycles, we meet as a team in what we call our data digs. This team includes the grade level teachers, myself, the Title I teacher, Christina, our social worker if needed, and our principal, Robin. We work together to identify the students' areas of need. We form our WIN groups and we determine which students may benefit from some extra interventions or support in the Title I room, or some social emotional supports, which we'll talk about.
All right, social emotional learning supports. School social work. As a school social worker at Bell River Elementary, I wear many different hats depending on the day and the situation. But in this photo in my office is a very important part of my job. I am working with these young men here to gain knowledge, tools, and the skills to be successful in school and in life. This particular day, we are working on managing expectations of control. In other words, what is in our control, what is not in our control, and how we handle all these different situations in a constructive way. Several years ago, Bell River implemented the Calm Classroom curriculum. It is designed to teach and encourage students to practice mindfulness, not only to promote their emotional well-being, but to help them transition from active experiences to calm their bodies and brains for learning. Calm corners and mindfulness boxes are tucked away in every classroom with sensory activities where students can use the strategies they're learning to calm down when they're upset or to help regain focus. In the first picture, the young lady was taking a stressful test and using a squishy ball to help her regulate herself. The middle picture is the one of our mindfulness boxes that contain all different kinds of fidgets and other calm down tools. Our third picture is of a young man that is utilizing a calm down corner in his classroom and is centering himself with the help of a weighted blanket. The Blue Room is a small private room painted with soothing ocean mural and muted lighting in which students can choose sensory activities, gentle music, and other calming strategies. The Blue Room is a wonderful sensory room that students can visit when they're in need of a little extra love and peacefulness. And the most important part of Bell River, one too much, Super Sailor tickets. Teachers and staff reward positive behavior with Super Sailor tickets. At the end of the week, names are drawn for a pizza gift certificate and a gold coin for a book room vending machine. Now the most important part, Winnie, Bell River's therapy dog. Winnie is a certified therapy dog trained to support students and staff. Winnie greets all the students outside every morning with Mrs. Hurd, is the heart and soul of Bell River. She gives her all every day and takes her job very seriously. Yep.
All right. Wrap up with a few things. Our classroom teachers, Title I staff, interventionists, and social worker, we all share our students at Bell River. They're ours. They're not that teacher's student, they're all of ours. That's one thing we embrace and we're proud of. Adults are flexible and adapt to frequent changes in student groupings, instructional focus areas, and individual student needs. Our collaborative data digs that we meet once a quarter, they're designed to help grade level teams see where the most needs are. Learning is ongoing. Many staff members are interested and engaged in learning and have voluntarily enrolled in the LETTERS training, which is a 2-year dedication to a program centered around implementing research-based reading instruction. Do we have any questions tonight? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the support you give all those sailors at Bell River.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. A motion is needed for the approval of minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting on August 22nd, the approval of payment of bills, the financial statement, schedule of investments, and appointment of new teachers.
So moved. Support.
Any comments or questions? All signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Our next item is our committee reports. And we'll start with our policy committee update, which is also an action item on our agenda later in the meeting.
Thank you, President Frank. I am providing the policy committee update. The policy subcommittee met on August 11th and 12th to participate in the Troon Policy Service 2-day manual implementation training. Practice area specialists from Troon reviewed each of these series. On one day, we covered Series 1000, which is the policy overview, mission statement, and definitions. Series 2000, which is the bylaws. And on that day one, we also covered Series 5000, which is students, curriculum, and academic matters. On day 2, we covered Series 3000, which is operations, finance, and property, along with 4000, which is district employment, were reviewed. Troon provides an annual update to the policy manual. The switch to Troon is advantageous in that their policies are more concise and are written and vetted by attorneys who will need to defend them. This reduces the time our Troon attorneys would spend looking up the Neola policy, which was the service we used previously, that we had adopted. Neola gave many options in their multiple policy updates each year. When we would then call attorneys for guidance, the attorney would ask, "What does your policy say?" This step is now eliminated. The attorneys wrote and vetted the policies. Troon has been working on their policy manual since 2019 and finalized the project in 2009 and finalized the project in 2019. Board Book will be the platform that will house the Troon policies. All of our board agendas and document Board Book will also be housed on the Board Book platform, keeping everything in one centralized location. The cost is in line with what we have paid Neola for their policy service. There are a few areas where the district can choose to adopt an optional policy. For example, in the Series 2000, Policy 2000-104 has an option to have a student representative on the board. For each of these policies that contain an option, the policy committee will bring forth the recommendation to the board. The next policy committee will be meeting again on October 4th to review those optional policies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next committee update is the budget.
I also will be providing the budget committee update. The budget subcommittee met on September 12th. Discussed during this meeting were the following items. Our enrollment numbers, and at the date of the meeting, East China School District had 217 incoming kindergarten students and 21 Young 5 students for a total of 238. Our opening budget projected 225 incoming students, so this is an increase of 13 students. We also reviewed the sinking fund cost review. The total cost of the election was $55,077.74. We did have to discuss the billed invoices with a few of our municipalities as we felt the costs were too high. Angie Gleason was able to negotiate a reduction in costs from 3 of our voting locations. And in future elections, it has been decided we will be requesting fee schedules prior to our elections. We also discussed the K-3 programming that is in addition to our current staffing of social workers. We discussed the open court reading program, the K-5 implementation and training, the letters training, K through 3, that was just mentioned in the Bell River academic spotlight, our fall NWEA assessment, 4 interventionists that are now placed at our elementary schools, and the Exact Path program for K through 5. Our next budget subcommittee meeting is scheduled for November 9th.
Okay, thank you. And the Academic Excellence Committee update with Mrs. Super.
Yep, I get to do this one as well, and nothing better than to complete my updates with academic excellence. Academic Excellence Subcommittee met on August 24th, and during this meeting, we discussed the focus of the committee work, and it will be on the practices that are most impactful to achievement for our students. We reviewed the work of John Hattie and the chart for the top 250 influences of student achievement. And it was decided that collective teacher efficacy had the highest effect size and the greatest potential to considerably accelerate student achievement. Collective teacher efficacy refers to a shared belief that the school staff can have a positive impact on student achievement despite other influences in the students' lives that challenge their success. It was determined that that would be an important component of our committee work, along with the analysis of the nationally normed NWEA data, both the growth and achievement component of the math and reading NWEA. The fall NWEA assessment was administered district-wide during the weeks of September 13th and September 20th. Math was administered on September 13th, and reading was administered on September 20th. And at our next Academic Excellence Committee, we will be reviewing, like I said, both the growth and the achievement scores for that fall assessment. The next Academic Achievement Committee meeting is in the process of being scheduled. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and then Mrs. Cedar is going to present an update from the St. Clair County Association of School Boards Executive Council meeting that she attended.
Yes, the St. Clair County Association of School Boards Executive Council meeting on September 13th was attended by Mrs. Patty Buck and myself. They discussed many new programs. First, there are 4 scholarships for students countywide, $1,000 each. The applications are going to go out to the counselors on October 1st and are due back by March 7th, 2023. The second was a story walk in which there are several stations located in a park with pages from a book for children to walk around and read the story as well as get some exercise. And Pat Coughlin and Riley Alley are already interested in doing one of these in St. Clair. A new wing will be added onto the Woodlands facility for a program for emotionally impaired elementary students. We discussed the 31N money for social workers, which are additional funds to help general ed students. The Summer Success Program, which provides counselors to help students transition from high school to college, was a great success this summer. The Tri-Share program at RISA, as well as child care provided by the United Way, were discussed. And finally, there will be an open house on Wednesday, September 28th from 2 to 4 to celebrate the retirement of Dr. Kevin Miller.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the Bond 2020 discussion and action item. This is the MC Campus Bid Pack number 2 with recommendation number 3. Mr. Guzalka?
Good evening. For action tonight, the Marine City 612 building renovation bid pack 2, and this is recommendation number 3. In order to complete renovations at the Marine City 612 building, the following recommendations are being made for the 4 different trade groups. In conjunction with TMP Architecture and All Construction, bid specifications were developed for the various different trades groups necessary to complete the building renovations and interior finishes. For each group, the 2 lowest responsive bidders were invited to conduct a post-bid interview with myself, TMP, and AUK. Whenever one of these bidders were deemed unresponsive or failed to have the bid scope covered in their bid, we then added the next lowest bidder. The following recommendation is the final result of the post-bid interviewing process. The written recommendation and supporting documentation is included in your board book for those 4.
May I have any questions for Mr. Rizzo? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so then an action or a motion is needed based on the administration's recommendation that the Board of Education approves the following bids by KJP Roofing and Sheet Metal for the amount of $679,000, Overhead Door West Commercial for the amount of $49,970, Clark Contracting Services for the amount of $1,287,075, and Curb Appeal Concepts in the amount of $56,994. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Support.
Are there any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that motion carries. Okay, moving right along, we'll go into our information and discussion items for this evening. And first up is our Bond 2020 project update with our contractors, Jerry.
Good evening, everyone. We've got a lot of exciting and fun things happening, as you can see. The Innovation Center is currently wrapping up in the finishing stages. We are getting ready to commission the HVAC equipment and get all of the manufacturer startup done, targeting a end of October final inspection for that building. So that's exciting. On the Early Childhood Center, we're going through the punch list, catching all of those things, those last minute things to get, but that building is in full swing. Over at St. Clair High School, the foundations are about 65% complete for the gym addition. We are working through some underground coordination. There are some utilities that weren't quite exactly as the survey showed them, so we're actually moving some things to make sure that we get the building built without impacting the rest of the services. That's taking place. And the masonry walls will begin this week. Over at the Marine City campus, we are in the material procurement stage. So that means we're validating, getting all the proper specified materials ordered. That project is targeted to get underway in January. That's where we're at. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, our New York City art student trip. Sarah Black and Marnie Williams.
Hi there. Superintendent Savula and distinguished board, thank you for having us today. I am Marty Williams. I am the art teacher for Marine City Middle School and High School.
And I'm Sarah Black, the art teacher at St. Clair High School.
We are coming to you today to propose a joint field trip between Marine City and St. Clair art departments to take our kids to New York City. On our first slide, this is the tour company that we're going to be using, the Airport Tour and Travel. George and Lori Gasol, they're located on the west side of the state, and they're just really cool people, very experienced. Steve Fox at Marine City High School with his band trips, he used them for their last trip that they went to pre-COVID. To New York City, and I was on that trip with them, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was just a really great time.
So, like Marnie said, this is a joint trip between Marion City High School and St. Clair High School art students. The trip is going to take place June 15th through the 19th, which is right after school gets out, so the start of summer vacation in 2023. The cost is going to be $1,550. That's the suggested price per person, and I'll go into more of that later. I gave you our contact information, and then the trip includes, so here's what's included, the airfare, round trip, the New York City subway pass, a 5-day, 4-night accommodation at Midtown Manhattan Hotel, 4 dinners, $10 for breakfast daily. We'll be visiting Top of the Rock, the 9/11 Museum, 2 live Broadway shows, the Museum of Modern Art, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art, as well as several walking tours. So that price, after we get our initial deposits, that price could fluctuate. We were told it shouldn't go up, it will just go down. So there is trip insurance that's available at additional cost, and we would recommend that our students and families would utilize that. So the payment schedule, we would like to start collecting deposits in October, this next month. There is a $200 non-refundable deposit, and then each month, including that first month of October, we would collect a monthly due of $225. And then that last remaining balance would be due April 15th, so it'd be well paid off before our trip began in June.
Okay, so here's the daily itinerary. I will not read through everything because it's going to be, George is really, really good in his tour group because he gets us up and we get rolling super early. You can see like at 7:30, which the kids will probably hate us, but we take advantage, you know, they get what they pay for. Basically, we get up, we get out, and you can see it's a jam-packed day all the way until 10 o'clock when we get back to our hotel. And the cool thing about this is because the hotel is going to be in Midtown Manhattan, it's not like we have to hop on a bus and go, you know, over to New Jersey and stay in a hotel there and go back and forth. We're like right in the city, which will be really nice. It'll just be a great experience for the kids too, to be in a great big huge city like that and see how it operates. But yeah, I won't read everything. I think we have a lot of kids who are super interested. We did a survey. We've gotten roughly about 80 people who are interested in this between both ends of the district. And what's neat about this is that these kids are going to be together from each end because we are one district. And we plan on having a field trip to the DIA, to Detroit Institute of Arts, sometime during the school year. So it's a joint field trip between us. So some of those kids who are going on the trip hopefully can go on that field trip too, so they can kind of start getting to know each other. And, you know, Sarah and I are a pretty good team, so hopefully, you know, things projecting into the future with the Innovation Center and AP classes and stuff, we're sort of hoping that this sort of starts to train with that a little bit.
Sounds like a fantastic trip.
Yeah, we're excited. We can't wait. Yeah, the kids are like super excited. They keep on asking me, what shows are we going to see? I was like, I don't know. Not yet, we have to wait.
Is there a limit on how many people you can take?
Nope.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we have a lot of kids who, their mom and dads are coming, maybe older siblings, you know, stuff like that, which, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that. Then to help students with payment if they need it, we plan on doing some fundraisers throughout the school year so we can help support those students who want to join the trip but might not be able to financially afford it.
Excellent.
Is there a minimum that you need with this travel agency?
No. For us to be free?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
25 students and then one adult is free. So if you get 50, we're both free.
Yeah. Yeah, which that would be really nice. The cancel for any reason travel insurance is something that we will actively promote because COVID's still here and people could get sick, but for the most part, it's just it is nice to have the travel insurance. So in case anything happened like that, and also on top of that, there's additional travel insurance that could be purchased for, like, you know, we are flying. So if the plane gets delayed or if luggage gets lost, knock on wood, hopefully. Yeah, so with that, do you have anything else? Do you have any questions or? Yes.
So you anticipate getting plenty of chaperones as far as like parents?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. The survey showed like it was like 1 out of 6 students was not bringing a parent, so we were going to have a parent. That was pretty fun.
Yes, and going back to the itinerary page, George wanted me to point out, because we do have some blocks of free time, but it's not really free time, it's organized time. So like from 4 until 6, we'd be in Times Square. But we do a really nice job of organizing our groups and having the parents, and on the New York trip, the NYC trip enrollment form, which I think is page 10 of your, is it page 10 of the packet? You can see the enrollment form, and we would vet any chaperone that would come, and then I would obviously have them fill out the volunteer form so we can get, background checks and stuff like that to make sure that our students are nice and safe with that.
Any other questions? Well, the only way off of yes on this is if you come back and you give us a report on how you're doing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, we'll take tons of pictures, yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That you're going to do this.
Yeah, no, we're really excited. So, okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next item is elementary and secondary hearing books. Mrs. Dawn Dimick.
That's a hard act to follow.
Good evening. Mine is not nearly as exciting as New York City, but in your board book, you received the updates to the handbooks for elementary and secondary. Primarily, the updates are reflected on dress code and cell phone policy updates. So it's all redlined and highlighted as to what the changes were from the last document. In addition to the dress code and cell phone updates in the elementary, we are welcoming volunteers and visitors back to our building, so there's additional guidance included in the handbook in regards to that. So tonight is just for discussion. It will be presented for final approval by the board during your October meeting. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. Again, the changes were highlighted in your document, so hopefully you received all of those. And I'm just available to answer questions if you should have any.
Thank you.
We'll have the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is recognition of persons wishing to address the board. This portion of the agenda is for citizens to address any concerns, questions, or comments to the board. The board will listen, take your comments and questions under advisement, but not respond at this time. The questions will be referred to the superintendent for research and response. We have a microphone set up down here. And if you could please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Dustin Snyder? Yep.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Staff not having a consistent understanding of district policies as evident through staff questionnaires and response. That's just a snippet of a report that Michigan Department of Education referring to East China School District. This is the current state of special education at East China School District. Violations of IDEA, MARST, and FERPA have all been documented. IEPs are not being read, followed, or even submitted back to the parents. Instead of fixing issues when a student's rights have been violated, East China School District decides to bring in a high-end lawyer on the taxpayer's dime. Special education director stated this lawyer was to protect himself and staff. But what about the student who had his rights trampled upon? Who's left to protect them? It's not East China School District. It's up to our parents to protect our children's rights, but it's tough when all they are met with is refusal to communicate, refusal of mediation, and hostility. What can you do to protect a student with an IEP? There are some free services out there, such as the Parent Advisory Council, the ARC of St. Clair County, Michigan Alliance for Family. Those are all free services out there. Most important, record, record, record. It is your right to take any audio or video recording of the meeting that you choose. These meetings can be very stressful. Things can get forgotten. Things can get destroyed. You need data. You need services for your child. You need data. They will try not to get your data. Personally, my child has a disability that affects his ability to transition. It was said to us, maybe we should take away all the services, then you don't have to worry about transitions. That was a joke from special education director regarding my son. Literally turning his disability into a punchline. What's next? Let's take away the inhalers, then we don't have to worry about kids with asthma. Let's take away the wheelchairs, then we don't have to build stupid ramps all over the school. Where does it end? Excuse me for a second, that's my personal child, so I'm a little fired up right now, and I've waited for this time to discuss this. Well, this has also been discussed over the phone with the superintendent, and she said, she blew us off basically by saying, I will check your notes. Well, Suzanne, this is what your notes should have said. Terry Wedge has a disgusting joke that has no place in East China School District. Do not ever do it again. Then you call and you apologize to that student and his parents for turning a disability into a punchline. That's what your notes should have said, and you should have done something about it. Actually, all of you got an email with it in there, and not one of you did anything about it. It's disgusting. No child deserves to have that make their disability or struggles into a punchline. You guys are supposed to protect our students. It is obvious that ECSD is failing with special education. And the fact that the person that heads the special education department should be knowledgeable of not only district policies and procedures, but state and federal regulations. He is not knowledgeable in these areas. And this is one of the biggest reasons you're failing. He reports only to her, and she does nothing about it. Thank you.
Debbie Burjoy?
Hi there, I'm Debbie Burgoyes. I'm the program director at River Rec Teen Zone. River Rec Teen Zone is for students from 12 to 18. We offer a safe haven for relaxing, getting help with homework. We even can get you a sandwich and a sandwich to go if you need and want one. We're having, if you have not already visited, please do so. We're located in the old City Hall in downtown Marine City. We're there Monday through Friday from 2:30 to 4:30. Just a little note though, if you come right now, it's a little discombobulated because we're getting ready to have our haunted house. Me and 2 other volunteers are working on setting up the haunted house, which is going to be October, it starts October 14th, 15th, 21st, 22nd, 28th, and 29th. We are a 501c nonprofit, and this is one of our biggest fundraisers to put on this haunted house. Plus, everybody completely loved it from last year. One thing that we do need, though, is some volunteers, for adult volunteers to help supervise during the haunted house and sell popcorn and sell tickets, that kind of thing. We do have an active casting call for students to be actors in the haunted house right now. If you have any questions, you can, or want to arrange a different time to come visit, you can email me at info@riverrecteenzone.org. Thank you.
Ellen Richley?
Good evening. After months of research and gathering information, I'm ready to report the costs of the unnecessary May 3rd sinking fund tax election. I hope this information will be helpful and thought-provoking for my fellow citizens. This is what I found. First, Trustee Prill claimed on her Facebook page on April 20th that the costs of the election were not to exceed $15,000. Her post was in response to my prediction that the election would cost well over $40,000. The total election costs were $58,192.97. It was well over $40,000 to hold this special election in May, which was entirely unnecessary and wasteful, as it could have been held in November for free. The itemized costs will be posted on my Facebook page tomorrow. Now, some may say it was necessary to hold the special election due to what district officials claimed was a June or July expiration date of this sinking fund. That is a flat-out lie. The superintendent, her secretary, the president of this board lied, and many others shared this flat-out false information. I have some wise words here to quote the presiding officer of this board. Take a listen.
All the Board of Education can ask the public is to please get the facts, the truth.
For those of you that couldn't hear that, she said, all the Board of Education can ask the public is to please get the facts, the truth. Give me a second, sorry. I could not agree more, and unfortunately, you cannot count on these people to provide you with the facts or the truth. I have here a copy of the district's 2022 L-4029, which I obtained from the St. Clair County Treasurer's Office and was certified by this board at your June 9th meeting. And guess when it expires? December 31st of this year, not June or July as was stated. I have copies of communications from the school district and their representatives claiming that the May election for the sinking fund was necessary due to its alleged expiration prior to November. I will post these propaganda pieces on my Facebook page tomorrow. Additionally, the East China School District provided information through a Freedom of Information Act request that confirms these communications, as well as the postcard that was sent and the fact that $3,844.67 was spent in taxpayer money to send that out to voters with blatantly false information. On a Facebook discussion, Trustee Prill remarked that the sinking fund was only $20 to the average voter. The implication being that funding for this district is cheap. The problem is it's not just $20. The average taxpayer pays over $2,800 in taxes directly to the East China School District. That's a fact. This includes property, income, and sales taxes. I will have details of that as well, with sources posted to my Facebook page tomorrow, and as well as a video going into detail about everything I brought up this evening. Now, that's all I have to say, but on the issue of the number 9 there, of repealing existing the board policies and replacing them, there was no public discussion of this, and I believe that that needs to happen before any of that happens, so thank you.
Lucas Cantrell?
Can I go first? You just put it in our case for 5 minutes. I'm pretty close though.
Oh, you Lauren? I can't see.
I'm Lauren.
Oh, okay. I just put you last because I didn't know if you were here yet. Yeah, you can come here. No problem. Should be able to make it through 5 or close to it.
I'd like to start off by reading from 2 books that are in St. Clair High School. First one is Identical by Ellen Hopkins. Kaylee was used to Daddy's visits, but that night she too felt something different in the air. Rage, lust, sorrow, perversion, all mingled in Daddy's sweat. There was nothing gentle about how he threw back the covers. Already naked, he pushed Kaylee roughly to one side, flopped beside her. I could tell she was afraid. This wasn't her daddy, this was a demon, his evil heart and sharp steel blade ready to slice into her. It did. His attack was brutal, bloody, wordless, except for the vicious shut the fuck up at her pitiful scream and a plea. Please, no, Daddy, no, it hurts. I cowered, sick at the sight, but unable to divorce myself from the horror. I felt Kaylee's pain, and when Daddy was done, she cried. I cried too. I'm your little girl. I'm not your girlfriend. I'm not your whore. I'm not my fucking mother. But he is on top of me, and my shout is silenced. He is inside of me, and my scream stays there too. He is finished, and I don't cry out, but I do cry a bucket of silent tears. He slithers away, and at last I quietly sob, no, no, no. The bad thing about puking regularly is how you come to rely on it. Hungover? Go puke. Feel a bit fat? Go puke. Confused? Go puke. Frightened? Go puke. Entire world falling apart? Hurry up and go puke. All of the above? Puke. Puke, puke, puke. And puke some more. Totally puked out, esophagus, acid etched. I'm ready to face the day. The second book, allegedly a novel by Tiffany Jackson. That nigger's not your boyfriend, Marisol says. He's just using you for pussy. You're not the only bitch he's fucking. Oh, I got a man, and he fucks me right every night. She moans, grinding her chair before giving Keisha a high five. Fuck you, bitch. I ain't no fag. Marisol snaps. Aye, what the fuck are you laughing at, psycho? Bitch, you have a man? Don't you see how that bitch could have anything? I would have to imagine those excerpts made you feel uncomfortable, because I was certainly uncomfortable reading them. Could you imagine being 10 or 13 years old and reading those? Is that really something that you want your daughter to read? Whose job is it to purchase library books for the district? Who allowed these books in our schools? Is there not some sort of review system for your media specialists to review books before purchasing? How can someone possibly purchase books and know their content if they aren't pre-reading them? And if they aren't pre-reading them, then they should be at least reviewing them at the bare minimum. We have rating systems for almost all forms of media. TV shows, movies, music, even apps are given age-appropriate designations, but not books. I know some people like to label this as book banning, but it's not. This is making sure our children don't have access to sexually explicit and wildly inappropriate books in our schools. What people choose to allow their children to read, watch, and do outside of school in the privacy of their homes is none of my business. But it is your responsibility to ensure safe places for our children, and these books are neither safe nor appropriate. These books glorify sex, drug use, and alcohol abuse. They talk explicitly about rape, incest, child abuse, molestation, graphic violence, including self-harm, suicidal ideations, profanity, derogatory terms, and other inappropriate behaviors. These are books that our 10-year-old children are going to have access to in the next couple of years. We don't allow these topics in our schools in the way of videos. Why should we allow them in books? Would you think it's appropriate to show a video of a dad violently molesting his 10-year-old child? Absolutely not. So why is it okay to be in a book in our kids' libraries? A study conducted by the National Institute of Health states that exposure to sexually explicit media in early adolescence had a substantial relationship to risky sexual behavior emerging in adulthood. I would imagine that anyone who works with child abuse or human trafficking would probably also agree exposing young children to explicit sexual behavior is nothing short of detrimental and unacceptable. But we're just going to sit here and encourage these books to be in our schools in the name of everyone has the right to read what they want? No, actually they don't. Minors don't have that right, and parents have a right to have a say in what their children are being exposed to in school. I am asking that this district appoint someone to review every single book in our libraries. I understand that is an enormous task. I understand what an enormous task this is. I know it won't be easy or a quick process, but unfortunately, the actions of allowing these books in our schools have now put you in this position. I would like to see the district adopt the following policies. 1, create a committee to review all books before being purchased. 2, implement a system where parents can report inappropriate books and submit them for review. 3, put some sort of warning labels on the inappropriate books that you are going to allow to remain in our schools. 4, implement a notification system to alert parents when their children are checking out books that have explicit sexual content and talk about drugs, alcohol, rape, and other dangerous material. I'm almost done. I would also like to know why St. Clair Middle School, Marine City Middle School, Bell River, and Palms catalogs aren't available online. How will East China be ensuring books are appropriate for 10-year-olds when the schools combine, especially when those books aren't appropriate for 13 to 17-year-olds? I have submitted a list to each of you containing the 26 inappropriate books I have found so far just at St. Clair High School. I have spent countless hours going through dozens of book reviews, so I'm well aware of what I'm asking of you. But our children deserve better than what these books offer. I hope this is something you take seriously and handle very quickly. Thank you. Okay, my last card is Nikki Spencer.
Thank you for letting her finish.
Of course.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, so we are going to move on to our next board action item, and that is what was discussed earlier about the board policies. The administration is recommending that the Board of Education repeals its existing policies, bylaws, and administrative guidelines with the exception of existing board policy 5517 and adopts the Through Policy Service and Manual with the exception of policy 5207. A motion is needed.
So moved.
Are there any comments and questions regarding this?
So just want to be clear, so I'm understanding that the policies that are in existence will be replaced by similar policies just from a different company.
That's correct. The only one that requires a public hearing is the anti-bullying policy, which will be on our October meeting. That's why that one we can't adopt without that public hearing.
And based on the committee work that you talked about earlier, you gave some reasons related to and how we interact with them as our lawyer, and also the other point you made, the ease that we have in changing policies if we want to down the line, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.